7 unusual things women do when they secretly want you.
Most men think attraction is loud. They expect a woman who likes them to make it obvious, to text first every day, to hand out compliments, to laugh at everything they say, or to openly reveal how she feels. Movies have reinforced that expectation for years.
But reality is often quieter, more subtle, and far more complicated.
In fact, some of the strongest signs of attraction barely look like attraction at all. A woman who secretly wants you may never consciously decide to show it. She may even try to hide it from herself. Logic tells her to stay composed, protect her emotions, and avoid looking too eager. Yet human behavior has a way of revealing what words carefully conceal. Interest leaks through habits, timing, body language, and tiny decisions that seem meaningless in isolation, but become revealing when they repeat. That's what makes this topic so fascinating.
The mind can keep a secret the body often cannot.
Think about the moments you've had with someone where something felt different, but you couldn't explain why. Maybe she found reasons to be nearby without having an obvious purpose. Maybe she remembered insignificant details from conversations you had weeks ago. Maybe she became strangely quiet when you walked into the room, only to become more expressive once the initial tension faded.
None of those moments prove attraction on their own.
But together, they paint a picture that words sometimes refuse to draw. This is also where many men make costly mistakes. Some assume every smile means romantic interest and end up chasing an illusion. Others do the opposite. They dismiss genuine signs because they're waiting for something unmistakable that never comes. The truth usually lives somewhere in the middle.
Attraction is less about one dramatic gesture and more about a consistent pattern of behavior that appears over time.
Psychologists have long observed that emotions influence attention. When someone occupies your thoughts, your actions begin to reflect it in subtle ways. You notice them more often. You remember details more easily. Your mood shifts in their presence. You become more aware of how you're perceived. These reactions are not exclusive to romance, but they frequently emerge when personal interest begins to grow beneath the surface. And that's why today's discussion matters. We're not talking about scripted pickup techniques or magical signals that guarantee someone likes you. Human relationships are too nuanced for that. Instead, we're looking at unusual behaviors that often appear when a woman feels a quiet pull towards someone but hasn't expressed it directly. Some of these behaviors may surprise you because they seem contradictory. At times, she may appear more reserved instead of more outgoing. She may create distance before seeking closeness. She may become more attentive while pretending not to notice you at all. Attraction doesn't always produce confidence. Sometimes it produces caution, curiosity, and internal conflict. There's another reason these signs are easy to miss. Modern communication has conditioned people to expect certainty. A text message arrives instantly. A reaction appears with a tap. But real human emotions develop unevenly. People hesitate. They second-guess themselves. They worry about rejection, timing, appearances, or whether their feelings will be returned. Because of that, genuine interest often hides behind behavior that seems ordinary until you recognize the underlying pattern. You'll also notice that many of these signs involve emotional investment rather than obvious flirting. That's intentional. Lasting attraction is often less about grand displays and more about where someone consistently places their attention, energy, and curiosity. So as you listen, don't focus on checking boxes or trying to decode every interaction. Instead, think about patterns. One isolated behavior rarely tells the whole story, but when several of these unusual tendencies appear together over time, they can reveal that a woman's feelings are deeper than she's willing to admit. With that in mind, let's begin with the first sign.
One that most men overlook precisely because it seems so ordinary.
What often changes first is not the way she speaks to you, but the way she notices you. You mention a favorite coffee once, and weeks later, she remembers it. You casually talk about a project at work, and the next time you meet, she asks how it turned out. It feels almost accidental until you realize she recalls details that most people would have forgotten within hours. Interest has a way of sharpening memory. When someone occupies emotional space in the mind, even ordinary conversations become worth storing. Sometimes that attention appears in stranger ways. She may quietly adjust her schedule so your paths cross more often, yet never make it obvious enough to be called intentional. You start running into her in familiar places, finding her in conversations you happen to join, or noticing that she lingers just a little longer before leaving.
To an outside observer, it looks like coincidence.
To the person experiencing it repeatedly, it begins to feel like something else. Then there are the moments when she seems unexpectedly nervous. This surprises many men because confidence is often mistaken for attraction.
In reality, someone who values your opinion may become more self-conscious around you, not less.
She might stumble over a sentence she would normally deliver perfectly. She could laugh a little too quickly or suddenly lose her train of thought. The irony is that comfort often comes later. In the beginning, genuine interest can create enough emotional pressure to disrupt even the most composed personality. You may also notice a peculiar rhythm in her communication. Some days she responds almost immediately. Other days she appears distant only to return with renewed enthusiasm.
That inconsistency isn't always a game.
People who are trying to manage their feelings sometimes create space because they're unsure how much they want to reveal. They pull back, regain their composure, and then naturally drift toward the person who keeps capturing their attention. Another subtle clue appears when the conversation has no real reason to continue, yet somehow it does. She asks one more question before saying goodbye. She sends an article that reminded her of something you said. She comments on a detail that didn't require a response, but quietly opens the door for one anyway.
The topic itself is not important. Continuation is.
People make time for what holds value in their minds, and they often disguise that effort behind harmless interactions. Watch what happens in group settings as well. Some women become noticeably quieter when the person they like enters the room, almost as if they're suddenly aware of every movement they make. Others become more animated, speaking a little more, laughing a little louder, unconsciously hoping to be noticed without directly seeking attention. Different personalities express attraction differently, but the common thread is heightened awareness. Your presence changes their baseline behavior in ways that are difficult to fake. There is also a kind of curiosity that reveals itself without asking obvious questions. Instead of directly wanting to know whether you're single or what your long-term plans are, she may approach those subjects from the side. She asks about your weekends, your hobbies, your future goals, or the people you spend time with. On the surface, it's casual conversation. Underneath, she's gathering pieces of a larger picture, trying to understand where you fit into her own. Perhaps the most overlooked behavior is how she reacts when your attention shifts elsewhere. It may be almost invisible. A brief pause when another woman enters the conversation, a slight change in expression when you mention someone else, or a sudden eagerness to rejoin the discussion after drifting away. These reactions don't necessarily signal jealousy in the dramatic sense. More often, they reflect the quiet realization that someone she values is investing attention somewhere else. And then there's the smile that arrives before the conversation even begins. Not the polite smile offered to strangers, but the involuntary one that seems to appear the moment she notices you. It's gone almost as quickly as it came, replaced by composure. But for an instant it reveals genuine emotion before conscious control catches up. Those fleeting expressions are difficult to manufacture because they happen before people have time to think about them. The important thing is not to treat any single behavior as proof. People are complicated, They have good days and bad days, outgoing moments and reserved ones. A forgotten detail doesn't mean disinterest, just as remembered details don't guarantee attraction. The real signal lies in consistency. When attention, curiosity, nervousness, and subtle efforts to stay connected begin appearing together, they often reveal feelings that haven't yet been spoken aloud. Ironically, the men who notice these patterns best are rarely the ones chasing validation. They're simply paying attention. They don't force interpretations or rush to conclusions. They observe, remain grounded, and allow time to clarify what first impressions cannot. In the end, genuine attraction is often quieter than people expect. It hides in repeated glances, remembered conversations, effortless smiles, and small acts of attention that seem insignificant until viewed as a whole. Long before anyone says, "I like you," behavior has usually been telling that story for weeks. The question is whether you're patient enough to hear it.